Hi guys, as you can see I'm not in the workshop today. I've got to stay in for a delivery and just chilling a bit today. But I thought it was a good opportunity to just have a sit and a think, particularly about the last video. When I started doing these videos, it was very much an afterthought. As you probably know, I probably mentioned it in earlier videos. It was really a case of I've always kept a record of it. Well, let's stick it on YouTube. Maybe a couple of people will watch, and you know, there's a few hundred of you now watching. But when I started the build, I thought I'll be a sad old git in a workshop all day long, building an aeroplane by myself. And to be honest, I was totally and utterly wrong. One of the best parts I've found of doing this YouTube thing is the people that you get in contact with all around the world, and it's really been a proper eye-opener for an old git who's not particularly tech savvy, and I really just wanted to say thank you to you guys that take your time and watch doddery old bloke wandering around a workshop looking confused. I'm just amazed, and what I thought was a lonely bloke working in a workshop by himself has actually got a whole community of people behind him, watching, checking out, making suggestions. And certainly the last video, I have had so much input from people who have taken their time to watch, and I'm really blown away by it. I know it's what can I say? I am absolutely gobsmacked. There's so many of you who've made suggestions and given me thoughts and ideas. So I'm not a sad old git by myself in the workshop. I'm actually part of a little community that has a real interest in what I'm doing. I suppose what's brought this on is the last video and my discovery of Rivnuts, my childish excitement at discovering the Rivnut. You can see how thrilling my life is, really, can't you? But all the people who have, you know, put me right on the Rivnuts and said check this and you know, are you sure that's the right thing, and all that sort of stuff, you know, those are the things you miss when you're by yourself in a workshop. Those are the things you don't have. You don't have somebody to bounce it off and to query your rather daft ideas and that sort of thing. So what it has done is made me sit down with a piece of paper and good old AI, my mate AI, and make some, you know, look into the Rivnuts I've used. So I'll show you what I've been coming up with, or to be honest, what my mate AI's been coming up with. I'll show you that next. And thanks again. Really, I am absolutely blown away by the interest people have shown, and you know, they're just sort of friends I've made all around the world who have an interest in this stuff. Like I said, watching the doddery old guy in his workshop. Thanks guys. Cheers. So, like I said, been making some notes, checking out tensile strengths and that sort of thing on the Rivnuts, and just been sort of trying to work out loadings and stuff for the aircraft, and whether they are going to be structurally safe to use or not. First of all, I need to know the tensile strength of the actual Rivnuts. Obviously, there are rather a lot of variables regarding the Rivnuts. Firstly, on how well they're put in, mostly on the actual material they are put into, and also on the strength of the bolts that are going through them. So there are three main factors affecting the Rivnut strength. So I'll read you what AI had to say. Substrate material and thickness. So if installed into thin or soft material like aluminium or plastic, the Rivnut will often pull through the base sheet metal long before the threads fail. Okay, well, perfectly understandable. I guess it's the same with an anchor nut. I don't see a whole lot of difference with an anchor nut. Obviously the design makes a difference. Second problem is proper installation, so the grip range is what it's suggesting. So if the Rivnut isn't properly collapsed into the hole, or it can pull through quite easily, and if the hole is too large, it can pull through more easily. And the last factor is the bolt strength, which is, and I've used M5 Rivnuts, so it says ensure the bolt inserted into the M5 Rivnut matches or exceeds the strength of the Rivnut itself. So steel bolts, and on a class 8, 8.8 or 10.9 steel bolt, it said the bolt's thread will strip first, basically. So those are the critical factors in putting the Rivnuts in. I think I've done that pretty well. I do check them. You saw me. I tried a practice run first, see how they went in, see how they worked. Seems pretty good. They are going into fairly thin aluminium, so obviously that is a major factor. But if I was putting bolts in, they're going through the same thin aluminium. The Rivnut tensile strength, the pulling, basically the strength at which it will pull through, the force needed to pull it through the thread of a Rivnut, is showing 580 pound-foot. I understand pound-foot better. 580 pound-foot. That's quite a decent strength, I think. Obviously, you need a safety factor when you're putting these things in as well. So it could be, if I drop it by 30%, shall we say, we're looking at about just under 400 pound-foot to give me a 30% safety factor in that. So then I checked on the tensile strength of the aluminium going through it. That's really pretty good. 45,000 psi of the aluminium I'm using, the T6061 aluminium. I'll go into detail. It's a breaking load of 8,437 pounds per inch width of that thickness aluminium. So it's quite strong stuff, really. Not being welded, it's just bolted in. So my next thought was how much strain is going to be on the tail. We're talking about a 300 kilo maximum all-up weight aircraft, but of course the tail isn't supporting 300 kilos. The tail is supporting mostly its own weight, and the G-force is thrust upon it, and also some negative weight, because obviously it will tend to counteract a lift, so they tend to be an inverted wing, basically. So again, googling the aircraft, the aerodrome airplane's tail, it works on an average tail weight of between 15 and 20 pounds. Again, sticking to the pounds, it's an American aeroplane. Pounds is most used in there. The average weight, 15 20 pounds. I took it the upper end of it, 20 pounds, and they also have a limiting load of 4.4 Gs on the kits, positive 4.4, and an ultimate load of positive 6.6 Gs. 20 pounds times 6.6, we come to 132 foot-pounds of weight on the tail. So we also have the downforce on the tail, which, as we've said, 6.6 G, ultimate 4.4 maximum, basically. The downforce, it works out roughly 250 to 300 pounds of downforce on the tail at the ultimate destructive level, and 180 pound at the 4.4 Gs. That's roughly the force the tail will have to take. But of course it's downforce, so it's pushing down on the rivnuts. It's not trying to force the rivnuts upwards apart from the strut. It's pushing down on it more. If that's in a high G pull-up, it's the most likely. I'm not likely to be bunting it down and putting a lot of strain on the tail other than turbulence, and it's not an aeroplane to be flown in turbulent weather anyway. So because both of these forces act downwards on the tail, you have to add the 132 pound ultimate load to the 250, 300 pound downforce load, which gives us at the ultimate breaking point 382 foot-pound. Normal limit would be 218 foot-pound. So 382 foot-pound, say I've already given myself a 406 pound on each of the Rivnuts. It's going to be divided by 4, at very worst case divided by 2 on each side. So I feel that we've got quite a lot of leeway on the Rivnuts. The one thing I've not been able to test, of course, is how easily the Rivnuts are pulled out of the metal. I might try and give that a try when I get back to the workshop. I have no facilities for testing that, but it might be a good way just to give me a rough idea of see how much weight it's going to take to pull a Rivnut through. Yeah, might be worth a try on that. So I'll keep you informed with that bit, see if I can rig something up to do it, but I don't really know how I'm going to measure it. I really don't have those facilities. So at this moment, I am still fairly comfortable with using the Rivnuts. And I always have the opportunity to change to bolts. That's still there. There's nothing changed. You saw the method I was going to do. And yeah, I'm a bit more comfortable with using them now than I was after the comments you guys all made regarding the Rivnuts. But watch this space work. The other great advantage of them is, providing I put them on the checklist, I can easily visually check and feel for any play in the strut attachments. And again, these are strut attachments. I don't think these will be taking all the tail forces, because most of the I think they're more to support the tips of the horizontal stabilizer, whereas the actual connection, the where it's actually connected to the airframe, is in the centre. And I think these are to take some of those bending loads from the tail. So my dubious mathematics leads me to believe that we're in pretty good shape, certainly to try using the Rivnuts as they are. We still have the option, obviously, of changing it, putting the inspection covers over the top and bolting through. But I figure they can't be expected to take too much load, because they're only on thin-ish aluminium connection points. They have the gussets that they attach to. If they were going to take a lot more load, I'm sure the design would have put them through the actual tube. So again, leaves me fairly confident with the use of them. But you have made me think about it, and that's got to be a good thing. And thank you again. Thank you so much for, making suggestions. Keep it up. Keep me in line, for God's sake. I need it. My carer's on holiday at the minute. Alright guys, thanks again. Sorry to bore you with all this crap. I'll try and edit it down into something manageable. Cheers.